So when you're looking at this case, I must say I'm not the biggest fan of it, and the reason is very simple. So when you're looking at this, it's fully made of plastic and gives like a really cheap feel to it. When you compare this with a B-Link decaying, for example, these things are made full out of metal or aluminium or another kind of, let's say, material that makes it more like a durable feeling, and this is more like a plastic, cheap, fantastic feel. Whee! Spinning around. Because this thing weighs only 578 grams, so that is not a lot and it gives like an extremely cheap feel to it. Okay, so what are we going to get? So at the front we're going to get ourselves the headphone jack out 2 times, the USB 3.0, and then we're going to get ourselves a Type-C connection. What I do like about the design is the on and off switch. It's over here. And at the last we're going to get some more connections at the back. Don't be confused, this is another Type-C, but this one is for the input for the power. We're going to get 2 times RJ45 network connections, an HDMI here, DisplayPort, and 2 normal USB 2.0 ports. But let's talk about the casing. Here you can see that we do have ventilation at the right side. And yeah, I think that's the exhaust, but there is not a lot of space over here when it comes to input and output of the exhaust. At the bottom we can already see there is a hard drive in here because this thing has been slapped with a 2 terabytes. But in overall quality it's not great. Yeah, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that. It comes with the AMD R5 4500U. And when you're looking at the price you're paying for the Super Console X and you're just buying a separate, let's say, a mini PC of the same kind of specifications, let's say, of course, if buying it separately, it's going to be cheaper. But let's talk about cheap. So basically you're buying this kit, but basically what it is just a mini PC and a buy-along controller. So the buy-along controllers can be bought separately. They are like $15 up to $20 if I'm saying it correctly. So they are not like really exclusive for the Super Console X. Take that in consideration. So when you're looking at this mini PC, you can buy it separately. Like if you're looking up the specification list over here, the AMD R5 4500U is a chipset that is like not the latest one, and you can buy them fairly cheap. I noticed a couple of sellers having their like them around for 450 up to 550. Depends of course when you're watching this video and where you're looking up. But that's basically what you could do. You can just buy the product separately. So this device comes with a 2 terabyte disk. You need to buy it separately, but you're going to get a hard drive. And yeah, Battlezera can just be downloaded for free. It's not something you need to pay for. No, it's just something you go to the website, you download the image and you reconfigure it yourself. So basically you can buy the Super Console X Chile very cheaply, but you need to do some more work yourself by searching the components and also downloading the software yourself. But this is the Super Console X Chile Mini Battlezera 32 with 108 plus different emulators that's supported by the software. The CPU is an AMD Ryzen 5 4500U, comes with a Radeon Vegas number 6 up to 1.5 GHz, 16GB RAM, 128GB for Windows, 2TB for Battlezera, Bluetooth connectivity 5.2, then we're going to get even the Wi-Fi Intel AX200 Wi-Fi 6 chip, and we have the option for HDMI and DisplayPort out. Alright, so let's power on the device itself, and if everything should be right and set up, you will get in the Genhang retro game menu first. And if that doesn't work out and you will get the Windows boot up, that means you need to go to the BIOS and basically reconfigure everything. Another thing I've noticed that loading time of the Battlezera image takes quite a lot of time, simply because the 2 terabyte drive is quite big, so you need to scan everything. And here you can see like it will load up a lot of different, let's say, different platforms, so it's going to be very epic. But after a minute or so, it's finally freaking boot up. The only downside is you need to reboot it a couple of times that I had with some issues. Then you're going to be like quite frustrated that you need to wait, and let's say 2 minutes, 3 minutes to have the full boot up. So what are we going to get when it comes to platforms? I think if you're going to look into a Super Console X Chile, you need to look at like say the higher end stuff. So we have like many systems that play all the old school stuff. Think about 8-bit, 16-bit, and even up to Dreamcast and Sega Saturn is possible to play on the $150 box nowadays. I think where this thing needs to shine is basically PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, the GameCube, the Wii, stuff that we couldn't play before. And here you can see we have so many new different systems we didn't see before, especially when you're looking at the cheap Super Console X devices. But again, this thing needs to shine with GameCube, PlayStation 2, like we even do have the support for Wii, Wii U, stuff like that. But the question remains in the end, how good will it run? Because this is not the latest AMD chipset, it's quite older one, but it may be powerful enough to run most of the games that we couldn't run before with like the cheap Super Console devices. Or is it absolutely just a joke? My out-of-the-box experience wasn't a very good start. Here you can see we do have a lot of double systems in here. And you want to boot it up a game, it's highly possible it doesn't boot up at all. That is something you need to take consideration. Another thing I also noted with a different game, with Rayman Origins I wanted to play, it just not boots up and just gets into the emulator. But of course, not every single system had problems, and when you're looking at the really old stuff, we can play this on the cheaper boxes. I would not really recommend getting like such an expensive piece of equipment to get more gameplay and then just play two-dimensional games like 8-bit, 16-bit. That's absolutely a waste, because this thing has the capability of run so much more, but it's a great add-on. So let's start with some more demanding games, and let's start with the N64 DD. When looking at like cheap devices like the Super Console X Max Plus, it's still like not powerful enough to run the most demanding games. So I just want to do a quick look at one of those games now on the Super Console X Chili.
Round one. Get ready. Fight.
So let's see how F-Zero GH will run on this AMD chipset. It's a very demanding game, so I will expect some hiccups here and there.
You got boost power!
So when you're looking at the PlayStation 1 part, this can be played on many devices nowadays, handheld, but also the cheaper Android boxes. The bigger difference what you're going to get in a PC like this, you can use higher resolutions, so it just will look better on your television.
Watch those barriers, they'll only slow you down.
The next system I wanted to try out is PlayStation 2. I was waiting for it to get a system that actually runs it, and now we have one. But the end result, in my opinion, was quite disappointing. So when you're looking at this PlayStation 3 part, it's freaking hilarious. If you're looking at the loading times, it took like around 10 minutes to load up one single game. Of course, depending how big it is. But for me, this is just absolutely unplayable. I did some cutting here and there, but in total around 10 minutes I needed to wait to load up one game. So let's play, and you will see also here we're going to get a mixed performance depending what kind of game you're going to play when it comes to the compatibility. PlayStation Portable runs pretty damn awful on the Super Console X Android boxes, but when you're going to get a PC like this, then we're going to get amazing performance.
Chosen. Move. I don't have time to play around.
I'm not afraid anymore.
Battle 1. Fight! Out of the way! Don't get in my way!
Okay guys, so next up let's try Sega Saturn, a system that does run on some of those cheap Android boxes, but we're going to get way better performance and way more games that we can play on this. So I think it was also one of those, let's say, exciting moments that I wanted to try out this chili box. So let's take a close look at some gameplay. And let's see how it actually is going to run. Surprisingly, I noticed that the Xbox does have a great performance on this box. I think it's a combination of what game you're going to play and also how it has been configured on this. But I needed to mute the music due of like the background music. But let's take a close look at some gameplay.
Go! Good morning, New York. 1110 KRWA Super Express Tuckers Network. Here's our first song to wake you up. Here we go.
We truckers are considered real professionals by making our deliveries on time. So hurry up and become a full professional, you hear?
Alright guys, so let's do a quick teardown and let's see how it looks in the inside. I'm guessing I need to remove the screws over here. And always be very careful with these freaking plastic fantastic cases. I have seen like arcade machines, but mostly like you need to be very careful. Like if you're going to do this assembly wrong, you're going to ruin the freaking case. Alright, so let's remove the 4 screws. Come on. Alright, oh, that's what I mean, like always be very gentle. Oh, this cable is very thick. Alright, let's remove the ribbon cable over here. Alright, so these are basically the rubbery feet, but also includes the rubbers and the bolts, everything that you're going to need for giving this thing a very steady, very nice position on your table. So this is basically what we're going to get in the inside. So here we're going to get the memory that also contains Windows. It didn't really include it in this video because I want to focus on the emulation possibilities. Underneath we're going to find the network adapter or the Wi-Fi. There's only one slot used with DDR4. So this is 16 gigabyte. So that is even nice that you even can add another one. Then we have the backup battery. But here you can see like there is nothing much to see, so let's do a further teardown. Alright, I needed to remove the RAM for the last 2 screws. Let's see how many there are in this freaking thing. Alright, let's remove this one too. That method to assemble the freaking cooling. Alright, let's be very gentle with this. Alright, so what you're going to get is here the chip itself, and this is basically how it works out. So at the bottom we're going to get the cooling unit itself. And just laying at the bottom, of course, the 4 screws were for getting the CPU cooler. This thing is made with this tunnel fan that we've seen with old graphic cards. But that's basically the construction. This thing is fully made out of metal, so that's very nice. The fan over here that blows through the freaking CPU cooler. But when you're looking at the way how it basically like try to get this fresh air, that is not a great way. So basically what I noticed, like the one at the side is the exhaust, but how it gets this fresh air is kind of a very strange thing. I just wanted to give a quick peek in the inside, and the casing itself, it's like very cheaply made, but the design is not great at all. So especially when you're looking at the cooling fan, it's like what were they thinking? Like you cannot, like you can blow out the heat, but there's almost no way to get some fresh, let's say new fresh air inside the case itself, or barely. Yeah, and overall I'm not a big fan of it. Let me know in the comments what do you think of this, and let's go on with the show. Alright, so I applied some new thermal paste on the mainboard CPU, so that is ready to go. I didn't plug in the power cable yet, I'm going to do that later on, but I just wanted to show you how they assembled this freaking hard drive. Here you can see like it basically like has this clicking mechanism. There is no screws whatsoever, so it will be, I want to say it keeps shaking, but it's not a great way basically to assemble a hard drive without any screws. I say they did tighten it up very well, so let's pull it out and let's see what they added. They added their 2 terabyte 2.5 inch drive. Yeah, so basically this is the most common drive at the moment from Western Digital. But okay, do like this very nice sturdy flat cable. And I must say, like, you can see these tiny dots that basically hold the hard drive in place, but it doesn't help because in the end it still like has some movement left.